My fellow Belizeans, as you are aware, since February, government has been in consultations with the joint unions. Today, I wish to provide the nation with an update on these consultations and discussions. In February 2021, in pursuance of our commitment to good governance, my administration initiated a budget consultation process with social partners, including the churches, non-governmental organizations, the business community, and the unions, with a view to receive budgetary recommendations from each of the social partners. Given the state of public finances and the severe fiscal imbalance inherited from the past UDP administration, the government indicated to all social partners, including but not limited to the unions, that substantial measures would have to be taken, including 1. Reduction of goods and services expenditures by at least 15%, 2. Debt restructuring to achieve debt relief and bring down debt servicing obligations, 3. Prioritize capital spending, revenue enhancement measures, and 4. A salary adjustment of approximately $60 million, along with the increment freeze of roughly $20 million for up to 3 fiscal years. After conducting such consultations, and after requisite consultations were duly had by the Minister of Public Service, the Minister, noting the dire state of public finances and the need for urgent fiscal rebalancing, informed that, among other things, he will be advising His Excellency the Governor General to fix the salaries and privileges of the employees or other persons or groups within the public service with a reduction of 10% for salaries equal or to over $12,000. The General Revenue Appropriations Act 2021, which contained approved budget estimates that provided for salary adjustments, among other adjustments, was duly thereafter enacted as of 6th February 2021. Even as these consultations were ongoing, the unions declared their intention to engage in industrial strike action and have followed through on that declaration of intent. Despite our deep disappointment with this decision taken by the unions, Cabinet instructed our ministerial consultation team to continue to meet and dialogue with the joint unions in a good faith effort to arrive at a resolution that would serve the national interest. These efforts have led us to where we are today. Today, I signed and sent to the joint unions a letter of government's undertakings which sets out in clear and specific detail each and every action our government is committed to taking, along with our social partners, including the unions, to advance our shared commitment to good governance and fiscal responsibility. Given the national importance of this matter, I will now share with you the details of these undertakings. First, good governance reform. The Protected Disclosures Whistleblowers Protection Bill 2021, the government fully endorses the need for whistleblowers legislation to protect from civil, criminal, and disciplinary proceedings persons who report improper conduct, such as commission of criminal offense and conduct that shows gross mismanagement, impropriety, or misconduct in the carrying out of any activity that involves the use of public funds. To that end, the government has drafted the Protected Disclosures Whistleblower Protection Bill, has delivered such draft to the unions and the business community, and undertakes to the public that upon receipt of comments from the unions by no later than May 18, 2021, it shall cause to be tabled before the House of Representatives by the end of June 2021, with a view to enactment thereof by the end of July 2021. The Civil Asset Recovery and Unexplained Wealth Bill 2021. Recognizing the grossly negligent and corrupt behavior of public officers in the past in the acquisition, management, handling, and disposal of public assets, the government fully supports the establishment of a law that provides for recovery of public assets wrongfully acquired or disposed of, including the provision for unexplained wealth orders against those persons whose total wealth exceeds the value of their wealth lawfully obtained. In that respect, consistent with the Union's request, the government has drafted the Civil Asset Recovery and Unexplained Wealth Bill and delivered the draft bill to the unions and the business community. Upon receipt of comments from the unions, which should be no later than the 8th of June 2021, it shall cause to be tabled before the House of Representatives. We hope to have this bill enacted by the end of July of this year. Campaign Finance Reform Bill. Government supports the union's request for the enactment of a campaign finance law. This is in line with this administration's Plan Belize manifesto to return principle and probity to public life. The government is now in receipt of draft campaign finance reform legislation from both the business community and the unions, and has tasked the Attorney General's Ministry to review the draft legislation and to develop a draft campaign finance reform bill by the end of August 2021. Audit of petrocaribe funds. Government shall conduct a comprehensive audit of the use of petrocaribe funds by the past UDP-led administration. Rationalization of public service. Government will complete on an expedited basis the ongoing rationalization of public service exercise. Numerous measures were proposed to the public officers and teachers directly affected by the salary adjustment and increased fees. Some of these that have not been accepted by the unions include as follows. A. Reduction of work week by 5 hours or more than 10% of the work week. B. The issuance of a land credit in favor of affected public officers and teachers equivalent to 50% of the salary adjustment, which credit may be exercisable on the acquisition of government land by the holder of the land credit. For affected public officers who already own land, the credit could have been used in settlement of outstanding land taxes owing by the affected public officer. The land credit, though not assignable, would be inapplicable in favor of immediate family members, namely spouses and children of the affected public officer. Let me say again, government remains committed to ease the adverse effects of the salary adjustments and increment freeze on affected public officers and teachers. We are prepared to undertake the following. A. Performance bonus option. B. National health insurance for public officers. C. Discounted data packages for teachers. D. Cash flow relief on loan payments. E. Waiver of stamp duty on assignment of residential mortgages. F. Special facilities at DFC and National Bank of Belize. G. Reduction of ministers' salaries and allowances. And H. Increments remain applicable to pension payments. Performance bonus. Government shall pay in the form of an annual bonus after the close of each of the current and next 2 fiscal years, any amounts that exceed the relevant annual primary balance target. The primary balance targets established in the recovery plan are as follows. Year 1, fiscal year 2021-22, primary balance target is a deficit of 2.9% of GDP. Year 2, fiscal year 2022-2023, primary balance target is a surplus of 1.99% of GDP. Year 3, fiscal year 2023-2024, primary balance target is a surplus of 3.75% of GDP. The performance bonus option incentivizes all budget stakeholders to focus on the common and beneficial goal of achieving the critical primary balance targets of government's recovery plan. The features of the performance bonus option are as follows. 1. The performance bonus, which is the equivalent of any overperformance as compared to the primary balance target, will be paid on a pro rata basis to all affected teachers and public officers as a single payment. 2. The maximum cumulative performance bonus payment will be $60 million per year, representing the estimated foregone salary and increments for a single budget period. 3. Where the primary balance target is not achieved, there will be no performance bonus payment. For example, if in year 1, the actual primary balance is a deficit of 1.9% of GDP, compared to a target of a deficit of 2.9% of GDP, therefore 1% of GDP above the target, and this 1% represents $35 million, then $35 million would be available for performance bonus payments distribution to all affected teachers and public officers. 4. Bonus payments, where applicable, will be made within 90 days of the close of the budget year. National health insurance for public officers. By no later than fiscal year 2023-2024, government will establish a contributory health insurance scheme for public officers that covers medical, dental, and vision care, along with an ancillary death benefit. Government will contribute 80% of the insurance premiums, while participating public officers will contribute 20%. Discounted data package for teachers. Government, through the Ministry of Education, has reached agreement with BTL for BTL to provide a 50% discounted 25 gigabytes data package to teachers. Cash flow relief on loan payments. The Central Bank of Belize has issued guidance to the banks and credit unions to extend the forbearance period on residential mortgages, including those held by affected public officers and teachers, to the end of this year. Continued efforts will be made to urge leniency by banks and credit unions on residential mortgages, including waiver of penalty fees, whether on refinancing, transfer of loans, or otherwise. Waiver of stamp duty on assignment of residential mortgages. Cabinet has approved, and a draft bill is being prepared to be tabled to the National Assembly for enactment of the waiver of stamp duties on the assignment of residential mortgages held by public officers and teachers. Special facilities at DFC and National Bank of Belize. Government will ensure that the Development Finance Corporation and the National Bank of Belize makes available special facilities of in or about $3 million to $5 million per institution for public officers and teachers for residential mortgages at preferred rates. Reduction of ministers' salaries. Ministers of state and area representatives will be subject to an increased total salary reduction of 15%. Ministers of state and CEOs will also surrender 50% of entertainment and telephone allowances. It is understood that heads of government will continue to surrender their allowances as already agreed in fiscal year 2020-2021. Increments remain applicable to pension payments. Pension benefits of directly affected public officers and teachers shall be computed on the basis of emoluments that would have been applicable if the increment freeze had not been implemented. Other government initiatives include recovery of outstanding tax arrears, noting substantial arrears of business tax, general sales tax, income tax, and land tax. The government will establish an integrated tax recovery unit under the Belize Tax Services Department that will be tasked with aggressive recovery of all lawfully due outstanding tax arrears. A project steering committee has already been established with representatives from the Ministry of Finance, Belize Tax Services Department, and the Ministry of Natural Resources with a view make such necessary amendments to the applicable laws to enable the establishment and effective functionality of such unit. In addition, technical assistance is being procured, therefore, and for the establishment of a revenue court to support revenue, tax collection, and enforcement of applicable tax laws. Social Partnership Committee. Government will establish a Social Partnership Advisory Committee comprised of representatives of the government, NTUCB, the churches, the business community, and the non-governmental organizations, with the first meeting to be held by October 2021. The purpose of the committee will be to provide recommendations on revenue enhancement, cost savings, tax reform, and consumer protection. Subcommittees may be established for each of these particular areas of scope. The government will provide updates on the state of public finances to this committee every 6 months, starting with the first update at the first meeting of the committee in October of this year. Tomorrow, our ministerial team will meet with the joint unions to get their response to these undertakings. It is my sincere hope that our union leaders and their members will appreciate and understand that our government has exhausted every option in an effort to responsibly address the very serious and important issues and concerns raised by them over these past months. This is our last best effort. My government respects our public officers and teachers and truly desires a strong, productive working partnership with them. We are 6 months into a 5-year term of office. There is much work to be done, and on behalf of the Belizean people, working together, we have an opportunity for meaningful change and reform. Let us embrace that opportunity starting tomorrow. Let us all get back to the important work of building this beloved Belize. I thank you, and God bless Belize.